We're at 6:45. The first speaker, right now we only have 7 speakers listed, although I'm sure we'll get more. So again, it will be 3 minutes per person if possible, but since there isn't a big crowd, you'll get leeway if I can. The first person to speak will be Paula Gabriel. And if you can state your name and address.
Sure. Paula Gabriel, 585 East Main Street. Sorry, I'm not very good with memorizing. Before my daughter turned 3, we moved to Stratford. Sterling House Summer Camp was one of the few places I felt safe leaving her, and she really enjoyed it. One year I overslept, and I was very disappointed because there were such long lines to register. In December of 2013, I took my daughter to New Orleans, and I bought her this beautiful swing dancing dress and shoes, and there was nowhere for her to swing dance in almost vacant New Orleans. It'd be nice if the Sterling House had some dance socials and classes. In 2004, a local Stratford newspaper reported that the 76 acres and most of the buildings would be demolished on the waterfront, and that they were going to put in an airplane museum. There used to also be parachute lessons back in 1997.
Ignore that.
I wish they were still available so I could take my daughter and her former classmates parachuting. She was, like I said, 3 at the time, so. In September 2016, I finally had her back for a weekend, and she wanted to go to New York City. I took her to the train station, and she says, she sees the helicopter museum sign, and she said, I didn't know there was a helicopter museum in Stratford. I said, don't you remember when you went to center school? You went to the Junkyard Museum, which Stephen King, by the way, mentions Stratford in many of his novels, and the Sterling House directly. He attended center school when it was now the Board of Education. It was then the Board of Education. So she was going to New York City, and then she tells people from Kansas and who live near the BBC headquarters that we're a suburb of New York City, so she's from New York City. That's what she tells them. And so over the years, I've had to try to fit as many of her friends in my vehicles to take them to mostly vacant Times Square. And once after we had seen a Victor Hugo adaptation on Broadway, it ran for maybe 2-3 months. Immediately after, we walked into Sardi's, immediate seating, fabulous food. She graduated from Stratford High School, participated in the Bunnell and Stratford High School marching band, concert, and jazz band. When she was a baby, I used to take her to Stratford Day and to the parade, where she would see the then older students in the bands perform and throw candy. And of course, I attended every play at Stratford High School where my daughter accompanied in the band when she was a student. Once I asked her, how come they didn't do a certain play, and I don't remember which one, and she said, because Broadway had a contract, and it sounded kind of strange, high school competing with Broadway, and they were phenomenal. We have so many talented students. 22 years, and I've never been able to take her to the Stratford Theater for an indoor performance. A town can't be everything to everyone, though it would be amazing if she and her former classmates returned and/or stayed in Stratford after they finished school. It would be great if this township, this suburb of the Empire State, would set an example for our present and our future. Envy can cause what Shakespeare referred to as the green-eyed monster, or it can lead to admiration. And then those from in and out of the Empire State ask themselves, what is it about that burb of New York City? Why do their young and old stay or return, and they're so eager to visit? And what is a township? Is this miracle because of their good citizens, their government, or both? I'm almost finished. Is it their airport, museum, their parachuting rides? Is it their lighthouse, their Coast Guard, their Greenway project, the Captain's House? Is it their theater, their parades, Stratford Day, their accountants, attorneys, businessmen, their restaurants, their donuts, their ice cream? Is it their gardens, their parks, their school systems, police, firemen, their Bard, their Stratford Star? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker is John Rich.
Tina.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
John Rich, 68 Willow Avenue. Infrastructure is a requirement for any community to thrive, but the current plan for the downtown parking garage is like the right church, wrong pew. It would provide for a transient population while taking away from the local community a neighborhood school and valuable town property. Now, I get it that the owners of the former Bally's and that entire shopping plaza don't want to sell their property. They're in the business of renting this space and making a profit. So why don't we help them out? If the parking garage was placed within the footprint of the southbound parking lot, as was one of the proposals, commuters would need a place to park during construction. This could be provided by renting space from the lot around Bally's and providing a shuttle service to the train station, the cost of which would be offset by parking fees charged to that transient population until the garage is completed. The owners of the lot would make money. The commuters would get a parking garage that makes sense to our community, and the town gets to save a valuable location for a school. And what of Center School? Again, I get it. The physical building itself may not be salvageable, and an empty building is costing the town money. Well, here we are, located between the land of P.T. Barnum and our own Shakespeare heritage. It only makes sense that if this council worked together with the Board of Education and our economic development people, we could make a proposal to the state of Connecticut's Department of Education to develop a magnet school for the performing arts. Such a project would be similar to what they have in Hartford. With tuitions paid to the town of Stratford by surrounding school districts for their students to attend our magnet school, Center School would actually be bringing funds in instead of just being an expenditure. At graduation time, when these students demonstrate their abilities in theater, music, and dance, an entire town-wide festival could be created as their parents, their relatives, and their friends all come here to eat in our restaurants and shop in our stores while they watch their students demonstrate their abilities and perform. Why the Board of Education could create a curriculum for both a grade school and a high school level. But that would require 2 empty school buildings. Dare I say Honey Spot becomes the Barnum campus while Center is the Shakespeare one? And just one last note. I know that there's some concern over town tax dollars being spent on undocumented immigrants. So I have a thought. What if we came up with a proposal, an ordinance, to build a wall around Stratford and get the other communities to pay for it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Rich. Mark Giuliano is the next speaker, please.
Good evening. Mark Giuliano, 78 Kathleen Drive. I just wanted to make some of you aware, and that would be for like District 1, 4, 6, 8, and 9. As of September 1st, I got my property tax bill on my house. It went up $1,100. I'm up to $13,000 a year. I didn't want to bring this out, but I have to. Everybody thought the world of you people. You people had the power, and some of you went sour. Now we have another budget coming up. What are we going to do here? We're going to go up another $1,100, $1,200 for everybody? I mean, the average was 3. I'm 11. Money don't grow on trees anymore. Back in the day it did, now it don't. The other one thing, I don't want to keep you too long. I was a little taken back from the last meeting with the VNA, and I was really embarrassed about it. About illegal aliens, no, they don't do that. They don't have a third eye in the middle of their head. Yes, there is other towns. Orange does it. So just because you think other towns don't do it, doesn't make it right or wrong. So Orange does it. North Brantford does it. If it wasn't for the VNA, I would have never known what to do after my mother came home from her heart attack, because them nurses were unbelievable. You just can't do it. You're not trained for that. They come and they take care of everything for you. So I don't know where you stand with that anymore. I just want to let you all know, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Walter Rimkunis is the next speaker, please.
Good evening. Walter P. Rimkunis, 425 2nd Avenue. One of the things that I've been watching, I've been seeing RFPs going out for this town in various things that are within the town, and there just came up, and we're going out spending money, looking for spend money. We have a structure here in town on Elm Street called the White House. Everybody knows it. Because several years ago, the sitting council voted the money to clean up the outside of that building. They said we couldn't do it during the summertime because you had the Rooney Group in there with their kids. This is now the time to get that done. There's nobody in the building. It is nice. There's no wind or nothing to really get it. So we can strip it down, get rid of all that lead paint, and get it up to par. I'm surprised that the historic district hasn't got after you people, that it's being allowed to deteriorate. Okay, somebody's got to talk. That's good. I had high hopes for you people. In the beginning, you worked as a unit. We lost a couple, various reasons. But I see now that this has come down into factions. It is not one group working together. This egos has taken over some of it, and I don't like it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rimkunis. The next person is George Mulligan.
George Mulligan, 429 Housatonic Avenue. Can you hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. On Wednesday, August 31st, I found out that the Army project manager had recently passed away, and there were other situations that I found alarming. And I've sent an email to all of you, which is not for the public. It's for yourselves, the police, the FBI, Homeland Security, whatever, to be able to try to make sense of it. All I'm trying to do is protect lives and livelihoods. Now, I hope that I'm wrong. But if a pattern exists, and if there are people who are looking to steer town assets like AFCO and like apartment buildings and coastline, and are willing to do some things that are not socially acceptable, then all I can do is my duty, because they say if you see something, you say something. Now, if I don't say anything, then I've got a guilty conscience. If I do say something, I look like a nut. It's a no-win situation. I'm running for Town Council, District 2. Last election, Mark Dumas wasn't able to, or chose not to, or had an accident, whatever reason, he didn't debate me. This District 2 council, Ron and Scott, apparently don't want to debate me. They're setting a bad precedent. That's their choice. But if they're not willing to speak out and defend their beliefs, how much confidence should people have in what they are told their beliefs are? See something, say something. There was this guy called Billy Mitchell. He was a brigadier general. He's called the father of American air power. In 1926, he predicted the Japanese would attack Pearl Harbor north by northwest with carrier airplanes. 1941 they did. Oh, incidentally, he also accused the general staff of almost treasonable activity. He was court-martialed. He saw things that most people couldn't see. The Mitchell bomber is named for Billy Mitchell. In the 1950s and 1960s, Michael King, Jr., he and his father had changed their name to Martin Luther King, Sr. and Jr. He saw things that people didn't see, and as a white preteen and teen, I couldn't relate to. But he made an imprint that bettered America and brought us towards a more perfect union 100 years after the Civil War, and it's been another 50 years. There was this other guy called Ronald Reagan. His quote was, "Tear down that wall." I just find that ironic that we want to build a wall between Mexico and the United States. Going back to see something, say something. There are things that people can get people to do, and there's abilities that people have that they shouldn't have. After Watergate, there was something called the Frank Church Committee. You have links on some of the findings of the Frank Church Committee. 40 years later, people beyond the CIA can commit crimes analogous to what those links happen. And if they're using capabilities that can endanger people, and if the police are too stubborn, and if the FBI are too stubborn, and if Homeland Security are too stubborn, and if the Department of Justice is too corrupt because every attorney general is the lawyer for the president, just like every attorney general for the state is a lawyer for the governor, and every town attorney is a lawyer for the mayor. Do we have truth, justice, or the American way? Every time you say the Pledge of Allegiance, I wait a 3 count. I always stand up. I give proper respect, but I give a 3 count. And after everybody says, "and liberty and justice for all," you hear me in a slightly elevated voice saying, "for all." because that's what this is supposed to be about, a more perfect union where people protect each other, work together, and don't prey on each other. Instead of giving away the store to political cronies, instead of closing your eyes to reality and ducking your head in the sand and hoping things aren't going to happen to you, you're going to eventually have to take proactive stances or active stances to be able to defend yourselves and your community and our country. There's a movie coming out next week about this guy Snowden. Everybody called him a traitor, and people are outraged about this guy, Kaepernick. Well, Kaepernick's sales are off the charts, and there's a lot of people that believe Snowden over all the presidents and all the other people, because since the Eisenhower days, it's another day, where he predicted something called the military-industrial complex. Now, the industrial complex was the Dow Jones, and the military was the Department of War, Dow, would have unwarranted influence into every home, business, and government agency. He predicted the danger of permanent armament industry. The United States sells 70% of the weapons around the world. He predicted the dangers of government contract entangling the American public, and he predicted the danger of a scientific technological elite controlling public opinion, and public opinion controls the world. If you control public opinion, which this guy Hitler and his other cronies know, and other people know, then you control people, and people are power. And it's the alchemist truth of turning lead into gold. However, it's misspelled. It should be turning leading into gold, because if you can lead, that's power. And if you lead the right way, then this country and this town can become exponentially better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Gerald Gray? I'm sorry, there was another sign-up sheet there. I took one.
I think I accidentally put it on the bench over there.
Oh, okay. Is it on the bench? Okay, thanks, John.
Somebody else coming first, right? I'm not ready. Good evening. As most of you know, I am Gerald Gray of 29 Shoreline Drive, Stratford. I have been speaking before you for the past 3 of the monthly Stratford Town Council meetings, and this the public forum. My areas of concern of which I have been speaking are my mother, Dolores Gray's, and my horrific suffering as inflicted upon us per and via the horrific malignancy of what we way too late discovered as the deeply entrenched, comprehensively pervasive corruption, racketeering, municipal predation here in Stratford that have so destroyed our lives and stripped from us everything of constitutional civil rights and stolen the reportedly $33 million valued body of assets that were entirely from scratch, co-created by Mom and me, beginning in our 1971 opening of our beloved Nature's Way Health Foods here in Stratford. I have referenced this to you in the past 3 of these meetings. Tonight, I want to elaborate and present here a very brief expansion on how Stratford's major players who are implicated in our circumstances have operated and operate. Back in spring 2009, Stratford Senior Center's Carrie McNanama fed my mother to Kevin Kelly, who was town attorney, etc., etc., etc. Kevin Kelly put my extensively evaluated, medically diagnosed, capable and competent, in no need of a conservator, Florida resident domiciliary mother Dolores Gray, into the hands and control of his close crony, almost 4 decades long sovereign king of Stratford's probate court, F. Paul King Kermay. Throughout that whole summer, King Kermay subjected us to a horrific, unending barrage of intrusions upon us in our beachfront cottage. He set upon us Stratford's Maureen Whalen of the Health Department. He set upon us his crony, Stratford resident Chet Walters of Bridgeport's DSS Adult Protective Services for Walters to make for Cremay a sham recommendation that my mother be involuntarily conserved of person and assets by Cremay. He illegally set upon us his longtime crony, Stratford resident Sonia DeWitt, who had gotten herself a grant to conduct instructions to municipalities in home robbing via municipal predation. And DeWitt was located in Milford's health department, thereby gaining her aid in also stealing our 50-year-old Milford home. Cremay collaborated with his close long-term cronies, attorneys Larry Engelman and Fred Krug, whom my mother had discovered had collusively and conspiratorially with Jay Gray for years been stealing multi-millions of dollars from us via their roles as hers and mine attorneys. Cremay and Kelly then, on August 27, 2009, without my mother's or my knowledge, consent, or permission, did appoint a total stranger named Katrina Camera as conservator over my mother's multi-million-dollar valued body of assets, Camera being the #1 operative in Connecticut's massive estate robbing cartel by which theft of estates is conducted via conspiracy of probate judges and attorneys for their own self-enrichment via IRA, involuntary redistribution of assets. I want to point out that Town of Stratford is currently actively engaged in stealing our 29 Shoreline Drive shorefront cottage. My mother cash purchased this beach cottage some 40 years ago. All utilities, bills, taxes, insurance, fees were entirely hers, and she paid them all. Ownership of 29 Shoreline was taken out of my mother's name and put into the names of siblings Jay and Lee and Gerald Gray, but was via probate judge put under the control of Katrina Camera. When the cottage was so damaged in the 2 hurricanes and tornado, she and Jay Gray committed insurance theft and fraud. The major contractor who was involved in the multi-million-dollar insurance and FEMA actions handling the massive destruction of Stratford shorefront was Owen Construction. Everyone knows who Nick Owen is in this town. Everyone knows who Gus Curcio is in this town. Everyone should know how deeply, deeply implicated these parties are and how closely related they are to Judge Barbara Bellis, and that Judge Bellis is married to attorney Stephen Bellis. He, the attorney who is deeply and pervasively involved in the operations and legal matters of so much of what takes place in Stratford, as also, incidentally, is Stratford resident Ben Barnes, who is considered to be one of the most powerful actors in the matters of state of Connecticut, and he is major creator of the state of Connecticut budget, which is so infamously front and center in current affairs. Back to the theft of our 29 Shoreline Drive home. In 2013, after gaining this control of my mother's and my Stratford home, 29 Shoreline, the parties then submitted to Bridgeport Superior Court a partition action to force as partition sale to sell the stolen cottage. They further engaged Stratford's Scott Corner and major political crony contributors of the DeRose family, who own next door 27 Shoreline in this predatory operation. This partition action was submitted to Bridgeport Superior Court, which is completely presided over by Judge Barbara Bellis, she the wife of attorney Stephen Bellis, who was so involved with the Owen, Sultan, Curcio, etc., Stratford operations. I have been fighting and fighting pro se on my own the theft and sale of my mother's and my Stratford home all these 3 years, while at the same time parallel fighting the theft sale of my mother's and my 50-year-old Milford home, as has been perpetrated by Cremay, DeWitt, Camera et al. In Milford probate and superior courts with this cartel's cronies there. The predators decided to give up after 2.5 years of attacking me in this action for the Stratford partition sale, and they have now turned it over to the town of Stratford to instead successfully accomplish stealing our Stratford Beach home. Stratford conducted 2 illegal raids upon 29 Shoreline Drive in September 2015 and in July 2016. Town of Stratford used Milford's Marin Landscaping, a.k.a. Marin Construction, a.k.a. Robert Marin, City of Milford employee, as a municipal foreman, and most importantly, Robert Marin, a.k.a. for his huge arrest record for major operation of drug trafficking and racketeering operations. Stratford is in process of stealing my home via having put liens on 29 Shoreline for the many thousands of dollars Stratford is billing us for, having had Robert Marin commit 2 theft raids of 29 Shoreline, and the town's billing for their actions of stealing all of our property and belongings located at 29 Shoreline Drive. This is a very rudimentary overview of who and what Stratford is and what Stratford players are doing to residents of Stratford. We gray women are certainly not the only victim prey. I am presenting a sampling of material that may be explored by anyone who wants to learn more. You may go on to the Connecticut Judicial website, civilianinquiry.jud.ct.gov, or just type in case lookup. Then type in Gerald Gray as the party name. There you can see the related cases. In particular, J. Gray versus Gerald Gray provides much of the background, and entry number 207, February 23, 2016, lists the players involved in the theft of the $33 million assets, as was first initiated in spring 2009 by Kelly and Kermay. And the other 5 cases are directly interrelated. I've given you folks a very cursory pass out, and I have a 59-page email that I'll be sending each of you that has some of the documents and legal papers from the town, et cetera, that are, that support everything I've said tonight. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Pomp.
Okay, the next speaker is Henry Bruce.
Henry Bruce, 37 Jefferson Street. Well, one thing's happened since I've been away. You fixed the intercom here. I'm going to need more than 3 minutes, but I won't go more than 5.
That's fine.
First off, let me start by wishing Alan Llewellyn a very happy birthday. And the only reason I bring this up, Alan, is it popped up on my Facebook page right next to my brother's, whose birthday is also today. So happy birthday. I was jealous because you're much younger than me. Okay, I'm here tonight because of the Connecticut Post article about my personal legal issues. Apparently, some of our elected officials and the Harkin administration saw fit to make my personal legal problem a matter for the papers. I did not know that my arrest in Vermont last January for a DUI was front-page news when I am not an elected official of the town and have absolutely no financial ties to what goes on in Stratford. With regard to, let me just address a couple of things. With regard to the details in the article regarding my arrest, the article was factually correct. I made a very bad mistake on January 17th, for which I am paying a very difficult and painful price. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt, but based on the laws of Vermont, I had to serve 25 days in prison last month. It's actually not bad, as you can see from my tan. I have not hidden from my mistake and take full responsibility and accept the consequence of my actions. Further, I have made full restitution to those affected by my actions. However, so now I may be an ex-con, but I am not a con man. The article made reference, and I quote, "By all accounts, the town has been on less secure financial footing since the WPCA sale was scuttled, and taxes went up 2 mils this July to help recover from this episode." That is blatantly false. I wish John Bergeson was here to explain that one, but I don't think he wrote that. And it was an attempt by the mayor's office to put the blame on others for his total mismanagement of the town's finances. Over the past 6 years, the mayor has raised taxes over 9 mils. Let me repeat that. For the past 6 years, the mayor has raised the taxes 9 mils. And for all but the last 8 months, he did that with a council that had an RTC supermajority. It's high time that Mayor Harkins take responsibility for his fiscal irresponsibility. I take full responsibility for my actions. What about the mayor? The WPCA Vote No campaign resulted in an overwhelming message from the people of this town to stop spending recklessly. Unfortunately, this council, under the misguided leadership of the council chair, chose to let Mayor Harkins off the hook and raise taxes 2 mils rather than listen to the will of the people and to cut unnecessary spending. Let me remind everyone on this council of the illegal actions of this administration and the prior council to spend $500,000 of WPCA money without legal authorization. That money went to Pullman and Connolly to illegally, as the then WPCA never authorized that spending, which former councilwoman Stephanie Phillips got on the record based from Tim Bishop. So far, this council has not seen fit to do a comprehensive investigation, and so far, no actions against the mayor have been taken. That money was our money, not the mayor's. When will the mayor take responsibility for his illegal actions? When will it be repaid? When will the Connecticut Post or the Stratford start writing about the gross illegal action and demand answers from the mayor? I guess smear campaign stories are more important than stealing money from our taxpayers. The mayor, with tacit involvement of his handlers, and I'll say it, Lou DeCilio, thought it would be funny to go after me to deflect blame away from themselves for their illegal actions and fiscal mismanagement. Well, it did not work. It really backfired, and I am not going away. Since this council does not see fit to hold the mayor accountable for his illegal actions, I am forced to document these acts myself, and I'll be filing complaints with our newly formed Ethics Commission so that these acts can be investigated by attorneys who are not beholden to his honor or to you, so that we can get to the truth and hold the guilty parties accountable. It's about being responsible for your actions. That's how I was raised. That's why I do what I do. I don't get anything for being an activist in this town other than protecting common citizens from bullies. I've taken my medicine. When will the mayor and other elected officials who are more interested in protecting themselves and using our town attorneys to defend their illegal actions start to man up and take their medicine? One last thing. I think the article on Larry Ciccarelli was equally not okay. Why are we wasting time on Larry's misfortune when it has nothing to do with his performance on the job? He is taking his medicine too. I commend him for that. Larry, I count as a friend. I don't understand why his misfortune is news. But that article was uncalled for and really piling on an honorable and hardworking good guy. Seems like someone has an axe to grind. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another sheet? Okay, the next person is Scott Farrington Posner.
Good evening, Town Council. Well, first I want to say there was a comment made up here about me debating. I'm sorry?
Name and address.
Oh, Scott Farrington Posner, 76 Homestead Avenue, Stratford. Yes, I will debate any candidate in District 2 before this special election on the 13th. Second, if I'm going to debate, we're going to debate on relevant topics. We are not going to debate about any kind of conspiracy about my children and Bertram, Moses, and Devlin, which has been put out there. But we will debate on topics that affect Stratford, that affect the 2nd District. And what I want to say is to one council person, I want to say thank you. This council person has been taking care of issues in Longbrook Park. This council person has taken care of issues with a broken bench, a grimy splash pad, mowing and weeds, and obstructed views. This council person has been taking care of this for the past few months, making sure that the residents' concerns in District 2 have been addressed. And this council person is no longer a council person. It's Mark Dumas, and I want to thank him. Mark Dumas has still been working for the constituents of District 2. And I'm not sure many people know that, but they need to. What makes a good council person is not someone that can sit up here, show up, take some notes, address the public for a minute, and make some votes on some topics. It's a council person that can answer their constituents. A council person that cares about the residents of this town and the concerns and the needs. When it comes to taxes, I've heard over and over and over again people coming up here and saying, I can't afford this. My taxes have been raised $1,100, $1,200. What am I going to do? The seniors who no longer have support of the VNA because we cut the funding. A good council person is people that take these matters into consideration when deliberating, discussing, and voting. And really, what I'm seeing up here is a lot of council people that have not taken the concerns and the considerations of the residents really into their consideration. And I understand when you make a vote, it's got to be something that's great for the town. But with what, 50-something thousand residents, they are the town. They are the town. And these are the people you need to start listening to. So I ask you to please start considering residents a little bit more in your decisions, because what I'm seeing up here the past year, I feel like they're at the bottom of the barrel for a lot of you. And that's not right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person is Laura Dobus, please.
Hi, I'm Laura Dobus. Can you hear me? Okay. 325 First Avenue, Stratford. I didn't prepare anything, so I'm going to just talk from my heart this evening to all of you. As most of you know, I am a campaign worker. I've been doing this for 10 years. I was a candidate for several. I give my heart to everything that goes on in Stratford. And every year when it comes election time, I do this. And this year is no different. I've been doing that as well. This year we have a special election going on for 2 council seats. But next year we're going to have all of you that are going to be up for election. I think most of you, if I'm incorrect, most of you anyway. And I know how much work that entails. And I know that, you know, these seats on the council, they're easily turned, both sides of the story. And what I'm worried about is all of my hard work and my colleagues' hard work and things that we do. You guys are projecting this environment that you can't get along. Things aren't getting passed. Nothing's getting done. I'm worried that all 10 of you or 8 of you right now are going to get out, and that's going to be counterproductive for the town, because we need to keep a constant council, in my opinion, in order to grow and in order for the benefit of this town. And so what I've witnessed coming to these council meetings every month has been a lot of conflict and a lot of things that I didn't work hard for to get you guys in these seats, you know. And it's going to be a hard sell for me to call for volunteers to come and do what I did. That's my new job this year. I've been told, well, you've been so good at this, you're going to make volunteers come. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do that if this is the debacle that we have? So, I mean, this has nothing to do with town. This has to do with you guys' positions and politics, I suppose. I'm not going to talk about Longbrook Park and, you know, Short Beach and all of those things. I'm just saying that, you know, as a person that volunteers to put all of you in the seats that you're in, I think we have to pull it together somehow, because this next year is going to be a very short year. So, thank you for listening to me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laura. Last person is Barbara Heimlich.
Barbara Heimlich, 91 College Street. I have a question for Councilman Llewellyn, since he's on the building needs for Stratford High. I noticed on tonight's agenda that the town is purchasing a property located at 25 North Parade Street to be used for this. What was that cost, and was that included in the original budget for the Stratford High? The second one is a town transference of town-owned property at 245 King Street. Does the town charge us anything for this, or is this an even swap, so to speak? And then the last one has to do with, again, kind of circling around to Center School, in that I see that the town has asked for approval of $41,058.83 for rear walkways for portable classrooms at Eli Whitney and Nichols School. We're putting out, granted it has to be done, fire marshal, but again, this is more money that's going for modular classrooms when we have a school. I think this is just excessive, and it does, what are the true economics of all of this? I'm just not seeing it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And that ends tonight's public forum. The council meeting starts at 8. Thank you.